We are live, gentlemen. We are live with
Oh.
Unleashed with Malcolm, the maniac Nance, and we have Lev. Put him in his place, Parnas, along with me, Michael Mad Dog Cohen. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Unleashed. Unleashed, right here on Substack.
We all got freaking gang names now.
Yeah. Malcolm, now you know where Trump gets it from.
Yeah. We
Well,
can form.
you got Lev with, we're going to call Lev half face. Lev, you got to stay in the thick picture.
We can form the He-Man Trump Haters Club now. I sign.
I'm telling you.
For those of you that don't know what we're talking about,
After
we're
hanging out
talking
with
about-
Michael, I started even my Substack letter. I started putting quotes. I started calling him Donnie 2 weeks and stuff like that. I'd be like,
Donnie 2 weeks. I'm writing this shit down.
Michael inspires me. Michael inspires me.
Do not blame that on me. All right. So look, lots going on to talk about. Ouch. Lots going on to talk about. Let me start with what's happening right now. There's a press conference going on. As many of you may have seen, Natasha Bertrand, who all three of us happen to know very, very well.
Yes.
A fine journalist, a very decent young lady, is in the hot seat right now. And this administration is looking to make a example out of her. Why? Somebody always has to be made an example of. They don't like the fact that she reported the Iranian strikes were not total obliteration. She was one of the first to come out with a story on it. It somehow caught the attention of the administration and, of course, the president's ire. They are now looking to ensure that she is shit-canned. I think it's from the New York Times. And worse than that, they are actually putting her in the crosshairs of all of the MAGA maniacs by attacking her credibility, her interest. You know, one of the things that I actually talk about, we're talking about Natasha Bertrand, who is a journalist that wrote a report. One of the things that both of you can attest to this, as can anybody that's with us right now. If Donald Trump is successful in doing something, 100%, every single one of us would turn around and we would say, that was a successful mission. That was a successful policy. I agree with what he did. Good for him. This is not and should under no circumstance be taken that Unleashed is an anti-Trump, we'll call it, program. It is not. What we are is factually accurate, all right, and truthful. If Trump, for example, in this Iran strike did not, and I mean did not come out with the statement of total obliteration, I would turn around and I think I would like to hear first from Malcolm, then you, Lev. I would turn around and say this was a successful mission if he turned around and he just said, our goal was to strike at Iran instead of talking about how it's total obliteration. We have destroyed their entire nuclear program. When you make statements like that, these emphatic statements of total obliteration, I think it's only right that people ask questions. What is the verifiable information, the intel that we have received that corroborates those statements? Why didn't, if I was still in Trump's orbit, if I was still there, I would say, don't say it that way. How about if you come out and say that the mission accomplished its goal? We will come back to the American people with an assessment and an evaluation. We will turn around and, expose what was done, what wasn't done. Remember, these bunker buster bombs have never been used before. et
Right.
cetera, et cetera. It's the part of the total obliteration.
What are you
You
talking
no
about, Mike?
longer
That's
have
not Donald
anything
Trump.
that you have to work. You have no longer have anything you have to worry about because I and I alone put an end to Iran's nuclear program. Malcolm, go ahead, and then Lev, it's all you, brother.
Okay, let me give you guys some education in the intelligence process. What we're talking is about has three components of strike warfare planning. There is the pre-operational intelligence collection. This is the activity, the information you're going to collect on your target, right? So that's going to be satellite imagery, spies, intelligence from second, third parties, open source intelligence, information you could get from the IAEA in secret. They may actually file secret reports and we get copies of it. And you put all of that together, you synthesize all of that together, and from there you create the model of your target. In this case, let's look at the one Trump is really the most upset with, is the Fordow underground enrichment, uranium enrichment facility. This place was built in 2003. It was crash programmed. The Iranians built this place in 3 years. They dug out under a mountain as far down as, 500, 600 meters, hollowed it out, filled it with a concrete molded structure inside it with multiple access ways in and out. Now, some things that you need to know, and this is where we have geologists who are brought on board to do strike planning. This is where you have experts in mining, engineering, what we call mega projects engineering, who will come on there and they'll look at how many trucks of concrete went down over a period of time and poured how many estimated billions and millions of yards of concrete. They'll use images that the Iranians may have done themselves, or drawings that a spy may have done, or the Israelis, if the Israelis actually had access to nuclear scientists there, or listening to their phone calls, getting the schematics for subcontracts. All of this is intelligence. And when it's fused together and creates a 3D model of this structure underground, all right, this all source intelligence gives us the pre-strike picture for that week or that day, right? Whichever day we're going to drop. Then next comes what we call targeteering. Targeteering is a highly specialized field in the Air Force where what they do is they look at the target, they look at the mountain, they look at the amount of concrete, and they decide and select, or in the case of this facility, design a bomb specifically for this facility. The BLU 57A was not designed for Afghanistan. It was never dropped in Afghanistan. That's not the what we call the MOP, the Massive Ordnance Penetrator. That bomb was never used. It was designed for one thing and one thing only: Iranian concrete hardened shelters supporting the nuclear program, specifically at Fordow and secondarily at Natanz. Natanz isn't buried that far underground, so they knew they could get that with conventional bombs, which the Israelis did. So the targeteering of this decided that the United States needed a 30,000-pound, 15-ton bomb, which could be dropped two at a time out of the loading bays of a B-2 bomber only. They spec'd it for the B-52, but the B-52 can't fly over a country like Iran without getting shot down. So this bomb uses altitude, speed, and the kinetic energy from gravity and its flight surfaces, right, to make it move, to bore into the mountain, dig in with its hardened nose, bore into the mountain down to 60 meters of reinforced concrete. That's 120 feet of reinforced concrete. Then it would explode and create an internal sort of jet of explosive power forward and then plume out into any open structures that are in there. So it's taking a drill and boring through it, and then when it comes out, it creates explosive blast. Also, it creates a shock wave because when you're dropping a bomb from 60,000 feet and it goes boring through a mountain at almost hyperkinetic speed, it makes a shock wave. That gives you an effect also. So that's what you've seen in that post-strike analysis within hours. All right, I'm going to tell you what happened right in real time. There was already a dedicated, or what we called a task satellite, whose sole function is to provide near real-time or real-time collection. We will also, because we ain't stupid, because satellites take sometimes 10 to 15 minutes to process. Right. And let me tell you, that stuff is insane levels of accuracy on there, right? I'm not going to tell you how insane, but really insane. Then we have a drone over there whose sole function is to look right down on the target X, and as each bomb is released, it will put its camera on it, and they will zoom right in from that Global Hawk drone, and they will watch it hit, strike, plume out all of the explosive debris or of the dirt debris, granite, as it goes up into the sky. It'll make a giant funnel, right, of material, literally a water funnel, like, and then it will go in and it will explode and create.
And what's the third, Malcolm?
Oh, well, the third part of this is what happens after. Even the real-time intelligence collection cannot give you instant BDA, battle damage assessment, unless it's like the Isfahan site, which was above ground. And you can watch the cruise missiles blow up. We fired 30 cruise missiles there. Boom, 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 boom. Yay, blown up. Buildings destroyed. But that was not where the real money was. The money was at Natanz, and the real gold was at Fordu. And all we could do is confirm this, because I saw it when they put out the first image. All you can confirm is you struck where you aimed.
Exactly. And so, very quickly, Lev, go ahead. You bring your insight into it, because I then want to turn around and talk about being somebody that was in the room years ago when these type of decisions were made, and so were you. Take it away, Lev.
Yeah, listen. First of all, I just want to say, wow.
What an assessment, by the way.
You're telling me take care. You want me to
This
go
is
after that?
baby spy shit.
No, that's like he wants me, get on stage, Lev. Here's the mic. Go after Mal.
Go on, Lev. Let's hear. No.
That's
now,
great shit. Like you.
But Lev, what happens here from this moment? It becomes political. The military part's finished.
Absolutely. No,
Malcolm,
I want to say that. I just wanted to say.
All Lev can do is this, Malcolm, after your assessment.
Go on, man. Let's hear the next part.
Yeah, no, I just want to say, listen, for all you subscribers out there, thank you. You see why. I mean, the information you're getting here, not only from inside like me and Michael from being in the room, but Malcolm's experience, that explanation right there, you're getting it nowhere, anywhere on any channel, any Substack, any platform, anywhere. So that's why it's important. Make sure, hit those hearts. Make sure you hit that, like Michael says, that share button with everybody out there. Do your job. Subscribe. For those of you that subscribe, upgrade, become paid subscribers. For those of you that aren't yet subscribers, make sure you subscribe. It's for free. So listen, where do we begin, guys? Let's begin from the beginning. We've said it from literally minutes into the strike, we went live. Actually, we had an emergency live. Me and Malcolm, Michael was traveling at the time, and we broke it and we said it that they moved the stuff. This was all a setup. This was all stage. Trump came out yesterday himself, explained how this was all stage, how they called ahead of time, how they asked permission to strike at these times, how this was all. And there's things that number one thing I always tell all of you is don't look at what's being reported, look at what's not being reported, what's not talked about. That's the important stuff that they're hiding under the table. Today I wrote a very important Substack letter that you all need to go look. It says, keep your eye on the ball, not because a volcano is about to erupt. So while this is happening, nobody's talking about that. Literally last night, as Trump left back to the United States, there's also a Russian delegation left from Russia into the United States that's meeting with Trump and Witkoff and all of them right now on the next steps, because the next steps is now Trump has to deliver Russia. Putin delivered what he needed. Now it's time for delivery. So there's going to be some things coming up, and that nobody's talking about. Simultaneously, the band-aid that Trump supposedly put on this peace deal. When there's a ceasefire, peace deal, there's usually we hear negotiate. We hear what are the terms. There's terms involved in every deal. And this deal, we haven't heard any terms, because there aren't any terms, because this was all staged, and this is all, basically stop it right now. And that's why I say it's a volcano erupting, about to explode. You have the Ayatollah Khamenei come out today and literally saying, I mean, I'm going to quote him, that the Islamic Republic triumphed here and delivered a harsh blow to America. The U.S. entered direct war because it feared the Zionist regime would be destroyed and gained nothing from this war. Once again, the Islamic Republic emerged victorious and delivered a harsh slap to the American face. A nation of 90 million stood shoulder to shoulder. We need one voice to rise against it. So this is what's going on in Iran right now, folks. In Israel, while this is happening here, we got Israel, Bibi Netanyahu's about to go, his trial's about to start on Monday. Nobody's talking about this, but Trump yesterday came out, and basically my sources are telling me inside that Trump is going to put pressure on Israel to either stop this trial or literally pardon him or something. This is
Well,
insane. He's now going to get involved in other countries, because Bibi, remember, they put that on hold, but now that everything's calming down, his criminal trial is coming, back into action. And to make matters worse, here in the United States, right now, what is Trump doing again? He's diverting with all of this. Did we strike? Were we struck? Nothing. But at the end of the day, right now, they're attacking again. He's attacking. He's trying to push in this big, beautiful bill right underneath your nose. That while we're looking at, and the other thing is, he's going after against journalism. Against Natasha Bertrand, like Michael said, I
right.
know her very well. She's a great journalist. She's out there telling the truth. She's reporting from 7 sources. Forget about even her reporting. We reported it before even she reported it. We've been talking about it 3-4 days here on Substack before even she said it. She just confirmed, and her people came out and gave the report. So this is all part of shutting up and the voices that are speaking up to him. So folks, make sure, do your job. Go out there. You are doing your job, because I could say, guys, I want to just, go a little bit because you're my family here. We are still number one. We are number one all week in world politics, because we're breaking all the stuff that none of them are talking about. So make
So
sure, keep doing your job. Go ahead, Michael.
exactly. So look, in my Substack of this morning, and please let me know if you read it. I called it "When Bombs Fall, Truth Must Rise." And I want to be clear, as I said before, Lev and I, we were in the room, of course, at different times, but we were in the room when decisions were made, when statements were crafted, and facts were, well, let's just say, rearranged. But the one thing that we both learned the hard way is that matters of war and peace, it's not only our right to ask questions, it's actually our responsibility. So when the president of the United States stands before the nation, or he has his minion, whether it's Pete Hegseth or whether it's Caroline Levitt, standing before the nation and declaring that Iran's nuclear program has been totally obliterated by a precision military strike, the first thing that we should all do is not to celebrate, it's not to condemn, but take a pause, stop, ask, verify, demand clarity. Because while headlines are shouting victory, the actual facts remain elusive. What exactly was hit? What exactly was destroyed? How much uranium had already been removed?
Right.
Was any of it even still on site? And most importantly, how long has this set back Iran's nuclear ambitions, if at all? Those are the questions that people like Natasha Bertrand were actually writing about. And these answers based upon the terms total obliteration, These answers cannot be deciphered. They cannot be written about because they do not comport with what is coming out of the administration. Again, if I was there, if Lev was there, I know what I would say to Trump. Don't say total obliteration. Just call the mission a success.
Right.
Because, in all fairness, it was a success. You ruin the success by simply over exaggerating. This is kind of like, and I use this example, this is like two heavyweight boxers fighting for the championship. It goes the full distance, relatively decent fight, but it went the full distance. And there was a split decision for boxer A versus boxer B. Then boxer A starts turning around and talking about it was the total ass kicking. I beat the shit out of him. I knocked him down. I knocked him out. I fucked him up. He may never fight again as long as he lives. Meanwhile, the guy looks no better, no worse than you. You just had more, more specific contact. That's the point. You cannot rewrite history. Declare your win, which is what it
That's the
was,
point,
and
Michael.
stop. And everybody needs to stop right now, turning around and trying to make this about the military.
Right.
There is not a single person who has denigrated our military, who have denigrated our amazing pilots. They did their job. You know what they didn't do? They didn't break through, as Malcolm described, the 10,000 yards worth of concrete
Oh,
and steel
Michael,
because they have never used the bunker buster.
how about this one, Michael? I'm hearing you guys are gonna flip out on this one. I'm hearing that they're no, you're gonna flip out, Malcolm. I don't know how you. I'm hearing that they're gonna. My story just today earlier. I was speaking to somebody that I gotta confirm it because this is just, but that they're gonna have one of these pilots in a press conference very shortly, literally today or tomorrow, talking about how upset
Wait.
and it might be the female one. And it might be the female one because literally today there was something that I was told I didn't see, but something happened at the press conference with them and a female and there was a female pilot there. So this is what I'm hearing. So if this happens, folks, we're breaking it here before anybody else again. So
I got a question. Okay. We really don't know who the pilots and co-pilots, they were dual pilots, were on each of those 7 strike aircraft. We don't know who they are. Now, we're talking about a government that's running a secret police with masking agents so that they're not attacked by what they say are drug cartels. But you're going to come out. It's one thing to give a fucking air medal ceremony with everyone's faces digitized of all the fucking strike pilots, right? 14 pilots all getting the air medal. That's as high as those guys rank. There was no heroism, so there's no distinguished flying cross, which is the number 2 most brave medal. This isn't guys shooting down 15 planes in a fucking dogfight. This is a flight from Missouri, dropping the bombs, turn around, and go back to Missouri. Okay? They were hitting fucking Starbucks within 24 hours of the mission. Do that, though. Honor the crews for, as Michael said, a successful mission.
Yep.
What is not successful, and now I'm going to give you the next part of this, part 4 of this story, is the post-strike analysis is not just done by Defense Intelligence Agency. It's done by multiple agencies. The people who control the satellites, who actually have the National Reconnaissance Office and the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency, will be dual looking down with Defense Intelligence Agency, U.S. Air Force strike targeteers to say the strike hit where we wanted, right? What we call the bore sites. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, along the ventilation shafts. That's what they were hitting. They were using the Iranians' own design of ventilation shafts to shatter those shafts and use that to project the material into the centrifuge hall, right? Or crack through the centrifuge hall, which is why they're side by side. One went down the shaft like Star Wars, but the other two went side by side down the shaft to blow a giant hole all the way down it. 1, 2, 3. Now, these guys, I'm going to tell you what actually happened that night because I've been in that seat. So there's a watch team that was specifically brought on board for the post-strike of this. It is the best targeteers and best pro-strike analysts we have in the entire U.S. military. Colonels, sergeant majors, guys my rank, right? Who have been seeing 1,000 strikes in Afghanistan, maybe as far back as, the Gulf War. They will be sitting there on their giant computerized screen. In the old days, we had an actual machine that had a magnifying glass on it, right? But now you can bring up the digitized imagery and you can almost, with a synthetic aperture radar going over it post-strike, see the debris field within to a certain depth, right? I ain't getting into any secrets, but to a certain depth. And at some point, some old guy like me leaned back in his chair and he goes, well, we fucking hit it, but can't say we didn't destroy it. And he'll say, whoa, wait, why can't you say it to destroy it? Here is what total obliteration looks like on a mountain. The fucking mountain slides off like Mount St. Helens. Okay? That did not happen. We got 6 tiny holes and impact within it. Therefore, you cannot say total obliteration until entire fields of concrete and radiation and parts from 3,000 centrifuges come flying out the front door that you didn't hit, right? You can't say that. And
So,
this
look,
guy isn't going to fucking lie.
Right. Well, here's the problem. And as I also included in my writing onto it, according to the initial public assessments, which is what Malcolm is talking about, these are initial public assessments, including those that are shared by our illustrious Secretary of the Department of Defense, Pete Hegseth. They also put up a general on the podium. And then there's, of course, Caroline Leavitt speaking, well, I don't know, to a party of one. The raid, according to each and every one of them, and Lev will speak about this as well, one of the things that they do every morning is put out what's called talking points memos.
Right. Talking points
They
memo.
want every single person to say basically the same thing. It was a total success. It was total obliteration. Iran's nuclear program is now completely dismantled. Fully dismantled Iran's nuclear
100%.
capabilities. Here's the problem. As a lawyer, as somebody that works off of facts,
Yep.
that's not a fact. That is what's called an assertion. It's not evidence. It's not fact.
Right.
Even John Ratcliffe, Trump's former director of national intelligence, has been more measured in his response, suggesting, as Malcolm just did, that the intelligence community cannot confirm the full extent of the damage. So the question that I want to pose to each and every one of you, why are we rushing to conclusions? Why do we have to have a conclusion within 3 hours of the bombing of these 3 nuclear sites? Why are we rushing to conclusions? You see, war or even the use of force in pursuit of peace, it demands accountability. It demands transparency. It demands accuracy. There is no room for assumptions or wishful thinking.
Right.
And for me, as I wrote, it is deeply concerning that public figures, many of whom should know better, are treating this like a political win instead of a serious, unfolding situation with consequences that we do not yet understand. Lev, your thought.
Listen, I mean, it gets even worse than that, folks. So, what I'm hearing in the background. So, first of all, Iran has now terminated their allowing. I don't know correctly what is the IEA,
IAEA. Yeah.
IAEA to be able to now monitor anything that with their nuclear program.
Yep.
I don't know if that's factual. I'm finding that out, but that's one of the things I'm hearing. The other thing that I'm hearing that's going to be very interesting, that the next breaking news that's probably going to take over the night today is, or tomorrow, is we're having Senate hearings today and congressional hearings tomorrow, where the intelligence is going to be presenting why they struck Iran, why they struck Iran when they struck Iran. And
Mhm.
one of the things that we spoke about, and very important, and Michael, we had that whole conversation. Does the president have the right to do it? And this is what this congressional and the Senate hearings are about. If he had the right to do what he did, what I'm hearing is they're going to stonewall folks. They're not going to. This is going to turn into a shit show. They are
Mhm.
not going to come in and give the information, because you know why they can't, because there was no imminent threat towards the United States when he did what he did. There
Well,
was no.
wait, Lev.
Yeah.
Let's at least be fair about that.
Yeah.
We don't know if there was any imminent
Well,
threat to
I'm
the
going to go.
Right.
I'm going to go on the record. I'm going to go on the
Right.
record saying I'm going to go on the record saying we didn't, because my sources are pretty good, and there wasn't, because this was all staged. So I'm going to go with what I know. You
Well,
guys, but I'm going to say there was no, and this is why they're going to stonewall, because there was no imminent threat that day to do it. I'm not saying again that any of us are for Iran having nuclear weapons or not taking them out. Absolutely, take the nuclear weapons out. But this is not about taking nuclear weapons out, and we're seeing it unfold in front of our eyes. Because if it was about taking their nuclear weapons out, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We would be talking just like you said, Michael. He'd come out and say, "Let's reassess it. Oh, let's hit him harder. Let's make sure we take it out," and not sit here and try to rewrite history and to try for us to believe something that's not true. Just like he did with the 2020 election being stolen, just like he said the insurrection never happened, just like he said that we're being invaded by MS-13 through Venezuela, just like he now is doing over here. It's all part of the same MO that he does. So I'm going to go on the record and say that they are going to go stonewall today. And tomorrow. They're not going to give up any information. They're not going to get to the bottom line why they did it, because the bottom line, as I'm saying, from what I'm hearing, it was all staged, and it's playing out just like we've been talking about day by day for the past week.
well,
Monsieur Malcolm.
I'll tell you one thing. It doesn't matter what they do right now. If they roll out airmen. Their whole theme is almost like it's a continuation of the squeaky tank parade. They want to ride the coattails on the glory of the military. But the question is, there does have to be a question. Why did you strike? I always told you, by the way, stop looking for who, what, when, and where and how. You always look for why.
Why?
Because in the intelligence community, we can see all the rest of that, right? But why did we strike at this time?
Thank you.
You know, my opinion of it is that Netanyahu put us in a box. And both of you have confirmed he was making Trump look weak. And he was looking weak. It was a big, giant opening. 3 places only the United States Air Force could hit. They left them literally open for them. The Israelis tried around the edges of Natanz and Isfahan, taking out air defense, but they didn't strike the facilities, and they left it up to us. They literally made a neat little box, and Trump and, Netanyahu was like, only you can end the Iranian nuclear program, Donald. Only you. He played him like a fucking fiddle. And then Trump, as both of you have said, does not want to come off looking as weak. And he was looking weak when he went back to the whole, oh, it's going to be 2 weeks thing, right? So this was a done deal. And the way that he said that he destroyed ISIS, which, by the way, is still alive all over the world, he's already proclaimed he has ended Iran's nuclear ambitions totally. Except if they do it again, then we'll strike them again, right? He always puts that caveat in there. But the bottom line is this. Why did we strike at that time? That's the key question. Was it existential? Was Iran a day from getting a bomb? 2 weeks from getting a bomb? A month from getting a bomb? Were they getting a bomb? If Trump stonewalls on that, he's going to come off looking like a fucking moron. So he had better open up the books at Defense Intelligence. And this is what I'm saying. He's hemorrhaging fucking secrets. I'm telling you as a professional, I'm hearing shit none of yous should be hearing. I'm hearing it. And I got people bragging about it to justify why they did it. They said that they had intelligence from Israel, from people who went into the facility. 2 days ago, I was hearing that. And I'm like, if that's the case, every motherfucker who went into that facility is a dead man because they're going to kill them all. Right? If
Right.
one of them's an Israeli spy.
The crazy thing, Malcolm, is today I watched as Pete Hegseth, Caroline Levitt, and a series of other people continue to just make comments that are so emphatic that they are emphatically stupid. When you turn around and you say, this was the most strategic military operation in U.S. history. When they say that this was the greatest strike in U.S. history. When this is
Oh my God.
total obliteration. Everything is such a finality that how about, again, tone the self-adulation down. Just tone it down and say this was a strategic and military success.
Yes.
That, the targets that were intended were struck by our incredible pilots, by our leadership, blah, blah, blah. Instead, like I said, they're rushing to paint this as a turning point in U.S. history.
Mike.
And we cannot allow that to happen until we actually know what transpired. I finished my Substack off with just a last quote, because real leadership doesn't fear scrutiny. It invites it. And we are not seeing that at all, as validated by the attacks now on journalists. Anybody that questions the military success, the significance of this strike, and the fact that according to them, this was a total obliteration of Iran's nuclear program. One last thing that I want to just bring up, Malcolm, and I definitely want your take on it. What most people don't seem to understand, they're like, why do you care? What terms that they use, whether it's, a strike, a successful strike, a total obliteration, it doesn't really mean anything different. Well, it actually does. It means a lot, because what happens is this is not and cannot remain in the abstract. So think about it. If hypothetically Iran's program has been truly decimated, totally obliterated, well, Malcolm, doesn't that alter the diplomatic landscape dramatically? Doesn't it alter the diplomatic conversation? Doesn't it potentially open the doors to now renewed talks with Iran's leadership, with the Ayatollah Khamenei? Or if in fact it was not totally crippled, if it didn't do as Lev is suggesting, that it did not accomplish anything because it was all staged, what if this is now going to instead provoke retaliation? And what if the program only sets Iran back a couple of months?
Well,
That's an entirely different conversation that our folks like yourself, Malcolm, have to be engaged in.
well,
And what if hypothetically the strike basically missed the mark altogether? Right? All the uranium was already out. It's already moved to another facility where it's now being enriched to 90%. Well, now we find ourselves in a much far more dangerous position than we were in even before.
yep,
My point is, we just don't know.
we don't know. And we've projected right here on this channel at least twice since this thing started. The only way, the fastest way for Iran to resolve this issue is to detonate a nuke as quickly as
I'm
possible.
sorry. Hey, they just broke it. I have to. I'm sorry.
Don't be breaking any news about an atomic bomb going off. I don't want to hear it.
What did I tell you? CNN just saying. Wait, CNN just breaking news. Iran set to enact law suspending cooperation with
Right.
UN nuke program. Just what we told you about.
Yeah,
That means
yeah,
the
exactly.
IA, that means the IAEA has to leave the country.
Just what I told you 15
There's
minutes
no
ago.
more monitoring, no more cheerleading, no more. They withdrew from the nuclear proliferation treaty because that's what it means.
And folks, this is just the beginning. So make sure you subscribe. You make sure
Oh,
you
fuck.
put your notifications on. I'm hearing. We're gonna break a lot more stuff. This is just a break. This is a volcano that's
Yep.
about to explode. You saw it's happening right here live as we're speaking. We were talking about 15 minutes ago, talking about how we couldn't confirm it yet. CNN is now breaking it right now, saying that Iran has just basically pulled away from the IA. Go ahead.
Another thing that
Hey, let's just also take a quick second to remind our followers, our community, and so on. While we're at 1,500, and that's really great. It's not nearly enough in order to build the community as
Right.
we want to. Now, I know that there's a lag in it. It fucking bothers me more than you could even imagine. There's a lag in terms of this Substack whenever we come on. I don't know why it is, but please keep hitting the heart. Just smash it as much as you can. Maybe Substack will figure out how to fix the program so that there is no lag. And that little square there with the up arrow, share this with at least one friend. We would have 3,000 people with us in nothing less than 5 seconds. All right. And that's what we need. We need to every single time grow this community by double every single time that we're on with you.
Yep. Hey, let me say one other thing, Mike, about in relation to what you were saying. The longer they keep trying to ride the military's coattails on this, because let's be honest, the Israelis did 98% of the work here, right? And as long as you keep going on with here's our brave soldiers, he's not talking to anybody because you give them air medals, you go out there and you have some sort of dog and pony show, which they will not want. B-2 pilots don't want to be known so that somebody can come and try to kill them in real life, right? That's happened. So we had the captain of the Vincennes in 1988, shot down an Iranian airliner, killed 280 people. Someone car bombed his car in Oceanside, California, tried to kill him. So this is all very realistic. Trump shouldn't do this at all. He should run from this, stick to it was successful, because if Iran brings a shitload of journalists into the Fordo nuclear facility and there are no ceilings collapsed, which is, by the way, a form of bomb damage assessment. We watch news reports. Then we're going to look like fucking idiots. Yeah. Two, the IAEA already confirmed 881 pounds of weapons grade enriched uranium is missing. And that was before the strikes. So they moved that stuff. There are goat sheds with fucking 50, 100 pounds of uranium in it. Unless you're flying radiation sniffers right over the ground at 10,000 feet. You can't identify where they are, right?
Yeah.
And,
Lev,
and,
what were
and
you
Trump,
Lev, what were you
and
going to
Trump,
say?
and Trump responded to that by trying to say that the pictures of the trucks and all of that, the goat, the sheep, they can't get the material out of there. Just what Malcolm was saying, exactly what Trump was saying. No, that you can't get. He put an actual truth post, whatever you call it, out there earlier
Yeah.
about that today, because the facts. Whenever Trump responds to something and tries to deflect it, that means you hit it on the bullseye. You're like, we got there it is. And he's like, oh no, let's deflect it.
Yeah. Look, thank you all for joining us again. This is the place that you should come to for facts, but important facts based upon several different things. 40 years of intelligence, government intelligence work. I'm talking about Malcolm. You have Lev with his relationships and contacts helping us in order to obtain information that nobody else has. And of course, my decade and a half plus time with Trump and understanding being a guy who was in the bubble and outside of the bubble. So, yeah, we are trying to turn around and to do something that nobody else can do. So, again, if you can, please share. If you are a Michael Cohen subscriber and you're not subscribing to Lev and to Malcolm, shame on you.
Yeah.
Same goes true if you are a Lev subscriber or a Malcolm subscriber and you're not literally subscribing to each and every one of ours, no good. Help us to build this community if you
Yes.
can, and you could become a paid subscriber. That is great. It helps us to continue. One of the things, Lev, why don't you break some news and share with our Substack family here what we're thinking about doing, the three of us together?
I mean, we're thinking about a lot of things to do, but you're talking about going on the road?
Going overseas.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right. I mean, that's a big one. Okay. Well, we're putting together. We're trying to right now. Drum roll. Thank you. But again, it all depends
You get
because
sound effects here too, my friend.
yeah, because I'm still under supervised release. I still have a year to go, so I'm trying to get approval. But hopefully with my good lawyers, and we're able to get approval to go on our trip to overseas. But we're planning on putting a trip together to Poland and then Ukraine. Me, Malcolm, and Michael unleashed directly with Zelensky, with people in the circle, talking about things that are more important than you guys aren't even ready for. So just stay tuned. As soon as it's in the works. Hopefully, as soon as we get the approval, you will be going live with us on Substack through our journey. Now that's going to be a show you don't want to miss. So subscribe, put your notifications on, and it's very important, like Michael said, because of the delay. You need to put your notifications on. I know I'm not computer literate, so I can't tell you how to do it, but try to figure it out because a lot of times right now we go live spontaneously, like we did Unleashed several times this week because there was so much breaking news that we want to make sure that again we're not journalists, so we're not out there reporting on breaking news. There's plenty of good journalists like the Midas Touch or Aaron that do that. What we do is we give you an inside perspective that nobody else could give you, and we break the news that they report on. So that's why you want to definitely subscribe to us. You definitely want to support this platform because this platform has grown from a community to a family to a movement. We are the resistance, folks. And, we've just been doing this for a few months. Can you imagine 6 months from now, a year from now, what the power that we will have when it's really time to make it count? So just keep growing, keep doing what you're doing. And Michael, get back home already because your time difference is killing us.
It's killing me too.
Between you and Malcolm travel. I'm the only one that can't go anywhere. I feel jealous. I'm sitting here in my room over here under Trump's supervision.
Well, everybody, thank you very much for joining us. We will see you again. Please, as Lev said, put your notifications on. Otherwise, we will be back on our Thursday at our regularly scheduled time. Thanks so much, Malcolm, Lev. See you soon, my brothers.
All right.
Take care.
See you then. Bye bye.